Hello and welcome to another writing episode. In this episode, we'll be looking at the argumentative essay. Let's start by looking at our writing rubrics. When it comes to answering the essay questions, it's important to understand that you need to work on your outline. Your outline is around 20 marks, so you need to include the ideas mentioned in your outline in your essay. Otherwise, some marks will be deducted. Remember, you should focus on the exposition of ideas and coherence, which means you need to read the question and answer what's required. It's very important to read the question and see what they're asking you for. Then you can expose your ideas, write them down, and make sure that they all fit together. And this is what we're going to be tackling in this episode. Remember, you're going to be assessed for the number of paragraphs, number of sentences, and how they fit. Remember, your paragraphs should be a minimum of 4 because you're going to have an introduction, body 1, body 2, and a conclusion. Again, you'll be assessed for spelling, grammar. Another main part of your assessment will be on your handwriting and the presentation of your work. Remember, clear and clean handwriting will show and reflect that you are a good writer and that you took some time to work hard on your essay, and this is what we want. Off-topic essays will get 0 because that means you did not read the question and you didn't understand what they're asking for. So let's get started. Today we'll be looking at the burger essay or the burger structure of an essay. And you may be asking again, why? It's very simple. We're talking about layers. You can have a plain burger, just a bun and a burger, and it will be bland. It won't have the necessary ingredients to make it full and delicious. And this is what we're focusing on. In your argumentative essay, you should have all the aspects of writing, all the aspects of an argumentative text for it to be professional. So let's see the components of an argumentative essay. We start with the first thing, our introduction. In the introduction, we're going to have our hook. Our hook is something that attracts the reader and makes them interested to read your essay. We then have the claim, which shows the arguments for and against and your opinion on the topic. Then we have our first body, body 1. In body 1, you're going to mention your claim, the arguments that you chose. It can either be for or against, but it's what you chose and it reflects your opinion. In this body or in this paragraph, you're going to add your claim, the reasons to why you chose that claim. You're going to provide some explanation, examples, and evidence that support your opinion. And then we move to body 2, which is our third paragraph. In body 2, you're going to add the counterclaim. The counterclaim is the opposing view, not your view. You've mentioned your view in body 1. Now it's time to add the other point of view. You usually start it with on the other hand. When you mention the counterclaim, you have to provide a rebuttal. So you provide the counterclaim, the other opinion, with reasons, explanations, and you refute that claim. That brings us to the end of our essay with our conclusion, where we can either paraphrase the introduction or summarize the main points in body 1 and body 2. So let's get started. Remember, writing is a process, which means you have to go through a number of steps in order to reach your final copy of the essay. You need to go through the first step, which is the most important step, brainstorming. When you write your essay, you have to read the question. After you read the question, you start to brainstorm, gather your ideas. Then you move on to drafting, which is the first version of your essay. After you're done with drafting, you go on to revising. You revise your work, then you edit your work, and finally, you're ready to publish. So let's work on this process to write our essay today. Let's look at the question here. Our question is about recycling. Let's read it together. Recycling is the process of converting waste materials into new materials. So they've told you something about recycling, into new materials and objects. Now, some people think it's the golden solution. So they're showing you that some people think it's the golden solution for many problems, while others aren't supporting it. So the other point of view is some people really support it and some people not so much. Now, the next part of the question is the task they want you to do. in not less than 14 sentences. Notice they want around, not less. So you can write more, but not less. In not less than 14 sentences, around 160 words, plan and write an essay stating the arguments for and against recycling. So you have to present both sides of the arguments and presenting your own point of view. So you want both sides of the arguments and your point of view on both sides of the arguments. So what do? We start with our brainstorming. And what we want to do is to gather our ideas. After we gather our ideas, we're going to organize them in sequence and put them in our outline. So let's start brainstorming. The first thing we need to do is to look at the task. Plan and write an essay discussing your point of view on recycling. And remember, you have to focus on both sides of the arguments. So you ask yourself, what is my opinion? What's your opinion? My opinion in this case would be, I believe recycling should be an important part of our lives. So I think recycling is important. That's my opinion. Because that's my opinion, that's again my claim. So I'll say, I believe recycling should be an important part of our lives, and I have to mention my reasons for that. So I can either say, I believe it's an important issue for a number of reasons, or for one reason, and list them down in your outline. Then you have to think about the rebuttal, which is how you would respond to the opposing view. But before you think of the rebuttal, you need to think about the counterclaim. The counterclaim obviously will be the opposing view to what you have decided. I can't tell you what it is until you decide or you choose your side. As we chose recycling is important, the counterclaim would be that some people are not for it. So we can say, some people are against recycling. Or not against, maybe not so much, they don't support it as much as they should. And write down their reasons and examples. Once you write down your examples or the counterclaim, some people are against it, we have to work on the rebuttal. And the rebuttal is very easy. You write down your counterclaim, the opposing view, and your opinion on the opposing view. So let's see how that works. If I say some people are unmotivated to recycle because they think they will not make a difference. So some people are not for recycling because it won't make a difference. How would I respond to that? Because I think recycling is important, I'll give my opinion and I'll say, however, because now I'm going to say something completely different to what I mentioned. You add however as a good connector, and you'll say, however, every little help will make a difference. And that's what you work on in your when you write down your rebuttal to the counterclaim, and what you do when it comes to the third paragraph, which is body 2. These are some examples of connectors you can use to add more ideas. Moreover, which means you're going to add extra ideas. To add extra ideas, you can say in addition, or to add to that. Now, let's put our ideas into our outline. So it will look something like this. We start with our introduction, where we have our hook and claim. Our claim for this topic will be, recycling is an important issue. This is my claim. Now I'll move on to the first body, where I need to add my claim and evidence. So what I'll do is, I'll write my claim. Recycling is an important issue for many reasons, and I'm going to mention those reasons. Remember, in your outline, you focus on main ideas. You don't add every single detail, because that would be for the essay. You write down the main ideas, and the sub-ideas are included in the essay. Then we move on to body 2. In body 2, you add your counterclaim. Let me remind you again that the counterclaim is based on your claim. Whatever you decide for the claim, the opposing view of that claim would be your counterclaim. And your rebuttal. So we've already worked on that, so we'll add it here in our outline, and we'll say, some people are unmotivated because they feel they will not make a difference. However, every little help will make a difference. And finally, this brings us to the conclusion, where we will restate the claim. Now, I advise you to write down your claim again to help shape your essay better. So in your conclusion, you'll say, in my opinion, recycling is an important issue, or is a really, really essential issue. and then either paraphrase the introduction or summarize body 1 and body 2. It all depends on you. Now, you're ready to start working on your draft. By drafting, we basically use the information in our outline to start writing our paragraphs. So we work on the paragraphs and we focus on adding sub-ideas to the main ideas we've already thought about. So your essay, your rough draft, should look something like this. And I need to remind you, it's very, very important that you indent the first line of every paragraph. This is part of the correct form, and remember, you can lose marks if you don't follow the correct form. So indent the first line of every paragraph. This helps show that you've thought about it and make it very clear where each paragraph stands. After you've written down your draft, we start on revising. When we revise, we're talking about the content and the information in your essay. It's about content. So we use our arms. What do I mean by using our arms? We can either add words. We feel like there's some words missing, some ideas missing, we add them. Or we remove unnecessary words, unnecessary sentences, we remove them. We feel they don't belong there or they're repeated. We can move a sentence around. Maybe we've added it and we feel it should be in the beginning or in the middle, just move it around. Or we can substitute a sentence or a word for another. So instead of saying it this way, we change it into another way. So again, it's about the content. So let's look at our essay. Remember, in our essay, they've asked us about the opinion. Let's read the first paragraph. Recycling is reprocessing things to be used again. Here, this is our hook. This is what we start with by giving a very brief definition of recycling. Some people are for recycling objects while others are against. So here I've shown you the two sides of the arguments. They both have their reasons. So I'm stating that I understand that each side has their reasons. I believe recycling is an important issue that we need to implement for many reasons. Excellent. In this, in our introduction, I've added my opinion, as you can see here. Now, do I need to focus on adding something else? No, it's very clear. Let's move on to the second paragraph. Recycling is very important and useful to both to us and to the environment. Again, this is very excellent. I'm showing you that recycling is important. It is very important as waste has a negative impact on the environment. Excellent. Here I'm showing you what waste does. Recycling helps to reduce pollution caused by waste. Now here, as we're reading, what I want you to focus on is the content that we have. As you noticed, I said recycling in the beginning and recycling again. So instead of repeating recycling, 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 which is frowned upon, let's remove the word recycling and say it. So this is what you need to look for when you use your arms and you revise your work. Words that are repeated, ideas that are repeated, and are your ideas building on to each other? Do you work on a main idea and then branch from it? Once you've done that, we move on to editing. And when we edit, we use our caps. Basically, we try to capitalize the names of people, places, months, days of the week, and the beginning of a sentence and after a full stop. Very clear. We also focus on using our commas, which basically means we separate a list of 3 things. So if you have a list of 3 or more items, you use a comma after each one, and the last item you add the word and. So you don't say and. Instead of repeating the word and, we use a comma. Or we use a comma to separate an introductory word from the rest of the sentence. And also after words such as but, for, and, nor, yet, nor, and so. So let's get back to our essay. What I want you to do is to look at the essay and try to spot the mistakes. Look at the yellow part. Recycling is very important and useful both to us and the environment. It is very important as waste has a negative impact on the environment. Notice that this is a very long sentence that has 2 ideas. So what do we need to do? We need to add a full stop. So we'll add a full stop after the word environment. So the first sentence would be, recycling is very important to us and useful both to us and the environment. Full stop. Because we use the full stop, we need to do what? We need to add a capital letter to the word it. So we add a capital letter. Let's keep on reading. What do we need to do? Look at the last sentence in this paragraph. Many things can be easily recycled, such as paper and rubbish and plastic and cloth, glass and metals. Here, this is a very long list. If you have a long list, you add or you use your commas. So many things can be recycled, such as paper, comma, rubbish, comma, plastic, comma, cloth, glass, and the last one, we add and metals. In my opinion, recycling saves the earth. Once you've done that and you worked on your editing, all you have to do is publish your essay. So let me remind you something, just a quick wrap up of the whole thing. Your essay is ready to be published. You've worked on having 4 clear paragraphs. Each paragraph is indented. Each paragraph starts with a capital letter. You've used capital letters correctly, punctuation correctly. You've revised the content of your work. You've edited it, and it's presentable. This brings us to the end of our episode. In this episode, we focused on the argumentative essay, how we can write our outline, how we write our claim, our counterclaim, how to write a rebuttal, and how to write a conclusion. Thank you for watching, and see you again.